It was 3:10 a.m. when my wife came home from a Christmas party at school that ended at 11. I stayed in bed pretending to be asleep while Jessie jumped in the shower. That was my cue to head to the guest room. I was almost asleep when I heard Jessie open the door. A few minutes later, I heard the door close. It was the first Christmas party we hadn't gone to together. Jessie made sure I knew I wasn't invited. At 5 in the morning, my alarm clock woke me up, and I got ready to leave my wife. My suitcases were already packed and in the trunk of my car. I checked my cell phone and, thanks to an app, discovered the text messages my wife and her lover had exchanged the night before. The last message was quite revealing. And that was the end of our 25-year marriage. After transferring the messages to my new phone and the cloud, I left my wedding ring and old cell phone on the kitchen table. It was time to start a new chapter in my life after almost 30 years with Jessie. On my way out, I went back and picked up my old cell phone. I needed to send a few more messages. I planned to send all the messages to our 3 children, but the last message seemed too cruel. Jessie had already completely distanced our children from us. All 3 chose colleges on the other side of the country and stayed there after graduation. As a psychologist, I recognized the signs of perimenopause, but there was nothing I could do about it. Jessie would fly off the handle when she thought I was analyzing her. I put up with her antics, even though her mood swings and irritability drove one child after another away from her. And when they left, she took it out on me. I tried very hard to maintain a relationship with the children. After Jessie refused to come to our eldest son's wedding because it was too far away, the 3 children stopped calling her mom and she became just Jessie. She wasn't invited to other weddings or christenings. Jessie didn't seem to care. Some people claimed they had no idea their spouse's behavior was leading to infidelity. My education left me in no doubt. A friend gave me an app that sent me Jessie's text messages, and I used it to track her relationship with that jerk, another teacher at her school. Just because someone is heading in the wrong direction doesn't mean they'll actually be unfaithful. Like Jessie, who was planning her big night at the Hilton, some wives get to the hotel room door and realize they've ruined everything. I hoped that would be the case with Jessie. Of course, I was disappointed. But it was time to put my plan into action. So, we come to that cold morning in Florida when I was sitting in a restaurant having breakfast. I had already checked into a hotel near the cruise terminal, getting ready for a 21-day cruise that was leaving on Sunday morning. I reread the letter I had written to my children, telling them that I was leaving their mother and giving them my new cell phone number. After much deliberation, I attached the text messages and hit send. Their response was quick and unanimous. "What took you so long, Dad?" I also read the latest report from the private investigator I had hired. It showed Jessie and that bitch leaving a Christmas party at 9 o'clock in the evening and heading straight for the Hilton Hotel. There was a photo of them holding hands as they walked to their room. The photo of that bitch walking Jessie to his car at 2:30 in the morning and then kissing him goodbye in the parking lot would allow me to enforce our prenuptial agreement. The private investigator's report was sent to my lawyer with instructions to serve Jessie with divorce papers on Monday when she returned from work. She was to vacate the apartment before I returned from my cruise. That freak was served with a restraining order. My lawyer also sent the private investigator's report to that freak's wife. It was a 4-hour drive to my hotel, so after breakfast I left, but not before turning off my old cell phone. The hotel was full of people getting ready for the cruise, and I was shocked to see one of my colleagues sitting alone and eating dinner. Melanie was a nice girl who had gone through a difficult divorce a few years ago. "Hi, Jack. I can't say I'm surprised to see you here," she said. "Well, I'm very surprised to see you here. Can you explain?" "I saw your cruise confirmation on the printer. Why would a married man book a 21-day cruise alone unless he was planning to leave his marriage? I knew you wouldn't cheat on Jessie. You're not that kind of person, and everyone in the office knows what a bitch Jessie has become. We've always gotten along well, Jack, and I've often called you my work husband. So I booked the cruise in the hope that we could have some fun together when it was convenient for you. I also booked all the same shore excursions, which are easy to cancel if you're uncomfortable with me. Actually, Melanie, I'd rather not spend too much time alone, so I'd be happy to have your company. But I'm not ready for a long-term relationship, I said. Two psychologists think alike, who would have thought, Melanie added. After a long dinner, I walked her to her room. At the door, she said, I'm not going to invite you in, Jack. I'm looking for a long-term relationship, not a one-night stand, even though my body is telling me I'm a damn fool. I said, I don't mind, kissed her on the cheek, ordered breakfast, and headed to my room. My thoughts were full of Melanie. We had worked together for at least 20 years and had always been friends. The only times we had been closer than friends were at our company Christmas party when Melanie asked me to dance. There was something about the way she pressed herself against me that could be interpreted in different ways. After Melanie's divorce, Jessie started acting like a bitch. As usual, I took Jessie's tirade personally. Before going to bed, I turned on my old cell phone. There was one message from Jessie asking where I was during dinner. I ignored it. There were several messages between Jessie and this jerk, starting with her finding my ring on the table. There was no remorse in Jessie's voice, and I didn't expect any. I've treated enough patients to know that cheaters rarely feel remorse. It hurt when she told her lover that she hoped I wouldn't do anything stupid like ask for a divorce because it would really ruin her life. Funny, I knew that was exactly why she stayed with me, but seeing it in black and white was like a punch in the teeth. At breakfast, Melanie asked me what had prompted me to go on the cruise. Are you asking as a professional, Melanie? I'm asking in whatever capacity you want me to. We both know that the more you talk about it, the less it will hurt. God, how many times did I cry in your office when I found out my husband was cheating on me? And I kept crying in your office while he tortured me during the divorce. I think you're the only one who kept me from going crazy. So come on, Jack. We had a little time before boarding the ship, and I told her the whole long story. I admit, at some points I had tears in my eyes, and I admit that after talking to Melanie, I felt better. Part of me didn't want our relationship with Melanie to turn into a patient-psychotherapist relationship, and I told her so. That's okay, Jack, because I won't let that happen. After boarding the ship, Melanie surprised me again when I found out that her cabin was next to mine. On the first night, we had dinner together and danced, and at the end of the evening, she kissed me on the cheek again. On Monday morning, we had breakfast together, and Melanie surprised me by joining me on the treadmills in the gym. I didn't know she ran, and she said running was the best advice I'd ever given her. We spent the rest of the day reading and talking in lounge chairs, enjoying the beautiful Caribbean weather. Over dinner, we discussed my expectations for Jessie's reaction when she received the bill. Thanks to the miracle of Elon Musk's satellite system, we were able to access everything through my phone. The first thing we read was a text message from my daughter. Jessie called me this afternoon and said I was a traitor, that I should have known you were divorcing her, and that as a woman I was obligated to tell her. Then she complained that you were overreacting to a little affair because your male ego was hurt. I told her that she had treated you like shit for the last 25 years, and that affair or no affair, you should have divorced her a long time ago. I added that my brothers and I were glad you were finally ending this sham marriage. I called her a flighty bitch and blocked her. There were several messages from Jessie. Are you done sulking, little fly? Call me so we can discuss your ridiculous demand for a divorce. The second message from Jessie read, You pathetic girl. Why did you send the private investigator's report to his wife? Do you want company in your misery? Call me. The third message was priceless. You blocked my credit cards, you bastard. I got my hair and nails done and had to pay with my debit card. How am I supposed to live without my credit cards? This has gone too far, and you better get your head out of your ass if you know what's good for you. The messages between this jerk and Jessie were interesting. At first, they discussed divorce papers and how she wouldn't be able to live on her salary. The jerk assured her that I loved her too much to divorce her and that he would be there to support her. Then his wife must have received the private investigator's report because his attitude changed. "You stupid bitch, you told me your husband was a weakling and that he would give in and accept our affair." He sent a copy of the private investigator's report to my wife, and I'm in deep shit. Don't call me, don't talk to me, and don't come near me at school. If your husband or my wife sends this report to the school board, we'll both be fired immediately. Good luck finding a lawyer when you're unemployed. I curse the day I met you. Melanie and I both felt sorry for Jesse. We both had a lot of experience with patients who didn't think through the consequences of their actions and were surprised when everything came crashing down on them. There was also a message from my lawyer saying that Jesse was refusing to divorce me and would do everything in his power to drag out the process until I changed my mind. I hadn't expected anything else. Melanie and I continued to enjoy our time together. Perhaps 21 days alone on a cruise wasn't the best idea because I would probably have spent too much time thinking about Jesse. Melanie was determined not to let that happen. We knew each other too well, and for the first time since my children had left for college, I had a running partner. On the 5th night, after dinner and dancing, I walked over to Melanie's cabin door to kiss her on the cheek. She turned her head and my kiss landed on her lips. The kiss turned into something more than just a goodnight kiss when she gently pushed me away. "I'm sorry, Jack. It was just a test. I couldn't help myself." "Did the test go well?" "Too well, Jack. Good night." Was I disappointed? Yes. Did I have a big smile on my face? Yes, I did. Between dancing and kissing, I had to take care of myself in the shower. The next morning, after our run, we sat down to breakfast, and Melanie said, "You know, I can hear the water running in your shower. Did you take a long, cold shower last night, or were you doing something else?" I knew I was blushing. Well, I think your blushing answers my question. Seeing so many people ruin their lives because they underestimate the consequences of their decisions, we psychologists analyze too much. How would you have reacted if I had invited you to my cabin last night? I would have accepted without hesitation. I'm a man, and you're a beautiful woman. A woman I've always liked, maybe even too much, if I remember our dance at the Christmas party. And this week has been wonderful in every way. Simple conversations, empathy, a willingness to listen, the way I feel you in my arms when we dance. How could I turn down such an invitation? I agree with everything you said, Jack. I wanted you for so long when you helped me get through my divorce. I realized I had married the wrong man. I was so vulnerable, and you never did or said anything to make me think you would take advantage of me. And here we are, our situations reversed. Am I taking advantage of you with this crazy idea of going on a cruise with you? When you were going through your divorce, Melanie, our relationship was more like a doctor-patient relationship. Besides, I was married and would never have broken my vows. But I think this is different. My love for Jessie didn't end when she came home after spending the night with another man that Friday night. It ended a long time ago, probably the moment our daughter left, never to return. That was 6 years ago, and that was long before our sex life ended. My feelings for you, Melanie, are just a consequence of the breakup, and maybe if we cross the line, we'll regret it when we get back to work and reality. Or maybe we'll realize that we were always meant to be together. I'm willing to take the risk and cross the line, hoping that we'll spend the rest of our lives together. So we'll spend our time on board having sex and get married when your divorce is final? Sometimes dreams come true, Melanie. She smiled, and tears welled up in her eyes. It was a day at sea, and like most days at sea, we planned to spend it sitting on deck chairs, talking and reading. When Melanie took off her cover-up, I almost wet my pants. Her swimsuits had been pretty modest up until then, but this bikini fit her perfectly. God, Melanie, I've always found you attractive, but you're so much more than that. Why did you hide it? And are there more surprises? If I tell you, it won't be a surprise. But I'll answer your first question. I wanted you to be interested in me for more than just my looks. We had a pleasant day, and it took all my self-control not to stare at Melanie. For a woman who could be my grandmother, she looked very sexy. After a nap on the porch and a hot shower, Melanie joined me for dinner, looking stunning in a little black dress. You're beautiful, Melanie. I mean really beautiful. So much so that you're out of my league. Why are you sitting here with me? Jack, in 2 seconds, I'm going to lean across the table and break your nose. You seriously underestimate your sex appeal or whatever you call it. I hear other women talking about you, and that's why I booked this cruise so I could be first in line. Just wait until we get back to work, and you'll see how many single women and even married women start throwing themselves at you. I'm just an old grandmother, and men don't usually throw themselves at grandmothers. You're too good for me, and Jesse is an idiot for pushing you away. You have no idea how long I've loved you, not just physically, but for your compassion for people. Melanie's eyes filled with tears, and I asked her to dance. Every time we dance, Melanie, I remember Christmas parties. There was something about the way you pressed yourself against me. I don't know how to explain it. Because we were made for each other, Jack. Melanie kissed me and led me to her cabin, which became our cabin for the entire cruise. I don't want to go into the details of two older people having sex, or the fact that Melanie brought a bottle of little blue pills with her, or how wonderful it was to hold a beautiful woman in my arms for the first time in 10 years. The best part was that I was with a woman who loved me, and I had forgotten how good it felt, how much I had missed it. Melanie noticed the tears in my eyes. I hope those are tears of joy, Jack, or my self-esteem will take a serious hit. Yes, Melanie, tears of joy. Maybe you can imagine how good it feels to be in the arms of someone who loves you when you haven't felt love in over 10 years. It's been over 15 years since I've felt love from anyone but my children, Jack. We woke up late, made love again, took a shower together, and took another pill. When we went down for breakfast, it was already noon. During lunch, I turned on my old phone again. There were dozens of messages from Jessie, mostly threats that she would take every penny I had. I called my lawyer. God, Jack, Jessie is driving me and everyone in my office crazy. She's camped out in the lobby and demanding that everyone tell her where you are. She's even harassing other clients. I had to get a restraining order against her. I'm going to sue her for harassment. From what I hear, she was even worse at your clinic, and the original restraining order had to be revised so your colleagues and their patients could live in peace. In addition, she has not taken any steps to vacate the family home. I advise you not to show up there for a couple of days, and I will ask the sheriff to evict her from the house by force. How are you doing? Everything is going very well. I met a girl while I was away, and she has brightened my world. That girl's name isn't Melanie by any chance? I'll consider that attorney-client privilege and say yes. Why do you ask? Jessie noticed Melanie wasn't at the office and was yelling that you two were living together. Is that true? It's much more complicated than that. Melanie and I have known each other and been friends for decades. I helped her through a difficult divorce 5 or 10 years ago. Patient confidentiality prevents me from saying more, but I can assure you that there was nothing sexual or inappropriate about our relationship. We're on a Caribbean cruise. I didn't know she was coming until I got here. Melanie saw the cruise booking confirmation on the printer and easily concluded that a married man wouldn't book a 21-day cruise alone unless he was planning to leave his wife. She felt she had to help me, so without telling me, she booked a cabin next to mine. I can't tell you how she saved my life. I think without her, I would have jumped overboard before the 21 days were up. Jack, I'm guessing that somewhere in the last 10 days, your relationship has grown closer. I can hear it in your voice, but don't tell me. It might complicate the prenup a little. Let me ask you a completely hypothetical question. Jessie and that jerk are afraid that someone will pass the private investigator's report on to the school board. As much as I hate that jerk, I don't want his wife and kids to lose his income. What if we offer Jesse some money, say $100,000, and my guarantee that the private investigator's report will remain confidential? That might work, Jack, but I'm sure if we offer 100, she'll want 200. Then let's settle on $150,000, but she has to give up everything else. The messages between Shithead and Jesse that night were interesting in two ways. First, they must have known from the private investigator's report that I had access to their messages, or perhaps they thought only the investigator had access. Shithead was only concerned with keeping the private investigator's report confidential, so he was pushing Jesse to accept the initial offer. Jesse was dreaming of $1 million. The bastard called her the dumbest bitch he had ever seen, not only ugly as a dog, but just as dumb. As expected, Jesse asked for $200,000 but wouldn't agree to less than $175,000. I felt that was how it would go, so I told my lawyer to agree. Melanie was thrilled that by the time we got home, the storm surrounding Jesse would have died down. All that was left to decide was where we would live. Neither of us wanted to go back to my old house, and Melanie didn't want to give up her apartment until she was sure we were us, as in us, as a married couple. I settled into a long-term hotel for a short time. My old house sold quickly. I moved the furniture from the dining room and living room to a rented apartment near my office. Melanie insisted on a new bed, and we had fun picking it out and setting it up. The divorce was finalized a year after Jesse accepted my proposal. We planned a small wedding for the following Saturday, but we had 5 children, plus spouses and grandchildren. Add to that our brothers and sisters, and we quickly had 50 people. Jessie showed up at the wedding but didn't come into the hall. She watched from the sidelines. I hadn't seen her in over a year. She had always struggled with her weight, losing it and gaining it back. Now she was very overweight, to the point where it was dangerous for her health. After many years of treating alcoholics, I was convinced she had a drinking problem. Her children ignored her, and her grandchildren didn't know who she was. In a memorable act of compassion, I watched as Melanie approached Jessie and greeted her. They chatted, and then Melanie took her by the hand and led her into the hall. She asked the waiters to set another place setting to her right, and they sat down together. Jessie was overwhelmed and smiled shyly at me as I sat down to Melanie's left. During dinner, Melanie brought her children over to Jessie one by one. Jessie couldn't hold back her tears as the children hugged her, and she saw her grandchildren for the first time. While I was dancing with Melanie, I told her what a wonderful woman she was. "You just realized that, Jack. By the way, I suggested that Jessie go to therapy." My wife is treating my ex-wife. Who would have thought? The smell of cigarette smoke was the deciding factor. I quit smoking when I was 11 years old. I managed to smoke 10 packs of my mother's cigarettes and didn't feel very well. My brother laughed at me, saying I was doing it wrong. Later that day, I talked to my favorite uncle, a sailor and a smoker. "You'll never be rich if you smoke, Tosh. I wish I'd never started." He always called me Tosh, probably a nickname he got in the Marines. I loved my uncle, and after our short conversation, I wondered why I had started smoking in the first place. The reason was obvious. I wanted to be like the big boys, like my brother. I wanted to be accepted. It didn't take long to realize that they weren't really impressed. They didn't accept me. I was too young. What's more, I realized that I didn't really like the people I was trying to impress. That was it. Cigarettes were over. When I started dating girls, I was a little hesitant. I wanted to impress them with my macho image. Standing on the corner with a cigarette in my mouth seemed so cool. I was weak until the coolest girl in school, Rebecca Davis, let me kiss her. Rebecca smoked and was so cool. She hung out with my brother's friends and let me kiss her. I was on cloud 9 until I tried it. Yuck! If that's what smokers smell like, I don't want any of it. I rejected Rebecca, who seemed very hurt, and went back to my old life as a cool non-smoker. I was always considered a bit cold. Ever since I was bullied on the playground, I tried not to show my emotions. Hit them hard and hit them where it hurts, my uncle would say. But most importantly, never let them see that they've hurt you. That's what they want, and if they don't get it from you, they'll move on to someone else. It worked against the bullies, but it had an undesirable side effect. I lost the ability to show emotion. Years passed, and I met a nice girl who didn't smoke. Her name was Barbara, and we liked each other right away. A year and a half later, I asked her to marry me, and she said yes. That was 23 years ago. A lot has happened since then. We have 2 grown children, Henry, who just graduated from college, and Zoe, who is finishing her freshman year. With Barb, I could be myself. I could relax a little. When my brother died of lung cancer at the age of 42, it hit me harder than I expected. For several weeks after his death, I was alone and would suddenly start crying. Barb always found me and held me until I stopped crying. Not a day went by that I didn't tell her I loved her. Her friends would ask her what it was like to be married to such an insensitive man like me. Her answer was always the same. You don't know him. You see a cold, logical man. I see a warm, loving man who will do anything for his family. He gets angry like any man. He just doesn't yell and scream like some. Frank becomes quiet and seems even more calm. If you didn't know him, you would never guess he was angry. We became empty, and I liked it. Barb's libido seemed to increase, and we became more daring. Even after all these years, my heart still flutters when I look at her. I've always been proud to be seen with her, but when she started paying more attention to her appearance, I was twice as happy, so I didn't notice right away. I thought I had become more excitable and wanted her even more. The smell in our bedroom that Thursday night made me think, and I realized that it wasn't me trying harder, but Barb pushing me away more often. Barb never had a good sense of smell, but mine has always been sharp. She didn't notice anything, but I picked up on everything. I loved some smells, like the way Barb smelled when I lay down next to her in bed. Other smells I hated. Most of all, I hated the smell of cigarette smoke. I hated how it permeated my clothes and hair and lingered for a long time. Just spending an evening with a smoker was enough to make me smell it on my clothes for days. So when I smelled it here, in my bedroom, I immediately became concerned. I asked Barb about it, but she didn't smell anything. She said I was imagining things. I would have believed her if I hadn't smelled it again the following Tuesday. I called Barb into the bedroom and asked her about it, but she again denied that there was any smell. On Thursday, the room smelled like air freshener. This really alarmed me. I went to the window and sniffed the curtains. Again, the smell of cigarette smoke. This was serious. Someone was smoking in my bedroom and Barb was trying to hide it. There was only one conclusion. It took me 2 weeks to prepare, and 2 weeks later, on Tuesday evening, the moment of truth arrived. We sat down to dinner, and Barb had just started chewing a piece of delicious chicken when I asked her, "Who is he, Barb?" She gasped and choked on a piece of chicken. I thought I'd have to give her the Heimlich maneuver. She came to, and I brought her a glass of water. Who?" she asked, trying to confuse me. "The man you let smoke in our bedroom. Who is he?" "I don't know what you're talking about. What are you accusing me of?" "It's very simple, Barb. I'm accusing you of inviting a man into our bedroom and allowing him to smoke. I know it's true. I can smell it." "You're crazy. You're so quiet and calm, and then suddenly you go crazy. Check your nose." No man has been smoking. I stopped eating and stood up. Looking at her, I pointed to my plate. By the way, the chicken is delicious. I walked down the hall to our bedroom, picked up a small round object, and returned to the table. I went to the corner of the living room, which I used as an office, and came back with my laptop. I sat down and started eating again. It's really delicious, Barb. Try some more. Even a fly wouldn't survive on what you ate. I've lost my appetite. Why did you bring all this? Taking another bite of chicken, I wiped my mouth with a napkin. I picked up the round object. This, my dear, is a Wi-Fi webcam. See the little antenna on the back? I left it in our bedroom today. I walked over to the laptop. You know this is my laptop, and you probably know that it supports Wi-Fi. It can connect to the webcam wirelessly. Today, I ran a program on it that records everything that happens in front of the camera whenever there is movement. I wonder what it recorded this afternoon. Maybe a man smoking in our bedroom. Maybe he was even sitting on our bed. Maybe with my beloved wife lying next to him. Shall we take a look? Happy? You think I should be happy to find out that my wife was entertaining another man in my bedroom and lying there while he smoked on our bed? No, I'm not happy. Now I'll ask you again. Who is he? I can't tell you. You'll want to hurt him. And if you do, you'll go to jail. I can't live with that. I love you. Barb, I promise I won't hurt him. So who is he? You promise? You really promise you won't hurt him? Barb, I gave you my word. I won't touch him. Have I ever broken my word? She paused and thought. Number, you haven't. Okay. Now we've got that out of the way. I'll ask you one more time. Who is he? She lowered her head and looked at her feet. His name is Richard Bryant. He's a college student. I see, and you, as the head of student services, were just doing your job, serving the students. It was inappropriate and unworthy of you, Frank. Okay. Now everything is clear. What do you want? Do you want a divorce so you can marry him? No, I don't love him. I love you. Don't leave me, Frank. Please, please don't go. Then what? Will you leave him? I'm not sure I can. I'd like to say I can, but I won't make promises I can't keep. Maybe we should just let things take their course. I know it's just a fling, and I'll soon get boring for him. He's only 20, for God's sake. Soon he'll want younger girls, and it'll all be over. What if I say no? Then I'll try to get away from him, Frank. I really will. But the feelings are too strong. I feel so alive when he's with me. I don't know if I can do it, Frank. Don't I make you feel alive? It's different with you, Frank. When I'm with you, I feel loved. I'm so proud to be with you. But it's not the same. Please, Frank, say you'll try. I really don't want to lose you. You can try, Frank, please. I don't know. I'll think about it and let you know tomorrow. I got up and started clearing the table. Are you serious, Frank? Are you really serious? Will you think about it? I told you, didn't I? I'd better start moving my things to the spare room. No, Frank, I don't want that. I really don't. Please don't go. I have to, Barb. I know what young men are like. He'll scatter his stuff all over the apartment, and I definitely don't want to clean it up. I'll let you know tomorrow. I left Barb sitting at the table in tears and spent the rest of the evening moving all my things out of the bedroom. The next evening, Barb made beef stroganoff, my favorite dish, especially when she made it. Again, she barely touched her plate, just stirring with her spoon. When I finished eating, she sat there staring at me until her curiosity got the better of her. Well, have you made up your mind? Yes, Barb, I have. Well, don't keep me in suspense. What's going to happen? It's over. It's over here and now. From this moment on, you have nothing to do with him. If he comes to your office, send someone else to deal with him. Am I clear, Barb? It's over. Will you stay with me, Frank? Will everything be the same as before? Maybe. I don't know yet. I've never been through anything like this, but yes, maybe with time I'll get over it. Thank you, Frank. I'll try. I'll really try. You need to do more than just try, Barb. If you want us to stay together, you have to do this. God knows how much I love you, but I won't let you humiliate me. Will you come back to our bedroom? Not yet. If I sleep in the same bed with you, I won't be able to keep my hands to myself. I think we both need to get checked for STDs first. I'll make an appointment in the morning. I don't think there's any reason to worry. I'm sure he's healthy. Nevertheless, we both need to get checked out. Like I said, I know young men. I was one myself. If he's sleeping with you, he's probably sleeping with someone else. Frank, do you have to be so rude? I'm just telling it like it is, Barb. Once we're both clean, I'll think about coming back to you. For the next month, things went well. Barb seemed more like her old self. She did everything she could to tempt me back into the bedroom. When she came home, she would change into a short skirt or very tight jeans and a thin blouse, usually without a bra. In the evening, she would sit down on the couch next to me, take my hand, and press it against her soft breasts. At the end of the evening, she would look at me and say, "Well, I'm going to bed. Want to join me?" I was really starting to weaken. I was determined to wait out the 3-month HIV incubation period, but after a month, I wasn't sure I could hold out. I loved her like there was no tomorrow. I wanted her all the time. I'm not a religious person, but I prayed she didn't get infected. Then my nose let me down again. She was standing at the sink rinsing vegetables. She was wearing jeans that must have been stretched out and a thin white t-shirt. My handsome husband," she said. She leaned into me. When she did, my nose touched her hair, and there was that smell again. Cigarette smoke, the same cheap brand if I wasn't mistaken. I stepped back. She stumbled a little when I pulled away from her. "What? What's wrong?" "I shouldn't be doing this." "What do you mean you shouldn't? You're my husband, damn it. If not you, then who?" "I'm sorry. I lost control for a moment." "Okay. I've been trying to make you lose control for the last month. I want you to lose control. I want my husband back." "Do you really want me back? Is that really what you want?" She looked into my eyes, searching for something that would tell her what was going on. "Yes, this is what I want. I've been telling you that for the last month. This is what I want." "Are you sure? Are you sure you want me and not your young lover?" "No, of course not. I did what you said. I'm not seeing him anymore." She was good, but not good enough. When she lied, she always fiddled with her wedding ring, and I could see her doing it. Her voice was also shaking. "I need to think. I'm going away for a while." "Can't you wait until dinner? I've almost finished cooking. Just put it on a plate and set the table. I'll heat it up when I get back." I drove to the lake and sat there watching the windsurfers enjoying the evening sun. I sat there until sunset, then drove home. Barb met me at the door, took my hand, and leaned her head against my shoulder. "Have you thought it over?" I nodded. "Sometimes I wish you would tell me what's on your mind." "No, Barb, I really don't think you need to know." I ate alone while Barb stood nearby and watched me. After dinner, I went to bed, leaving Barb to watch TV. The next day, I sat at the entrance to the law office, waiting for them to return from lunch. The office was directly across the street from our local college. I sat in my car watching the students when I noticed a group of 6 students walking toward me, 5 students to be exact, and Barbara. They were all laughing and joking as they crossed the street and entered a pub on the corner. I have to admit, it took me a while to recognize her. She looked so natural in their company. I sat in the van, watching the pub door, unaware that the lawyers and their secretaries had returned to work. The sky clouded over and a light rain began to fall. I sat there for about 40 minutes when I saw her come out. She was alone and decided to run to work to avoid getting wet. I crossed the street and went into the bar. I saw that they were all sitting at a table by the window. I bought myself a pint of old beer and sat down at a table next to them. The girls all got up and went to the restroom. I sat there listening to their conversation. "Are you serious, Richie?" "You mean anything?" "I told you, Boz, anything. I'm going to have to start watching porn to get some new ideas." "What are you going to do with her? She's a bit old, isn't she?" "She's just right for me." "You know what, Rich? When you're done with her, pass her on to me." "What will you have left then, Johnny?" "You mean you're going to dump her?" "Maybe if I can get into Stephanie's panties." "I'll give you 20 pounds for her." "You can't live on 20 pounds a night, Johnny, my boy. Hey, I've got an idea. I could rent her out." When the girls came back, everyone laughed. "What's going on?" asked one of the girls. "Richie's thinking of renting out his mother-in-law," replied the one called Johnsy. "Don't be so cruel," said another girl. "I think Babs is lovely. I wish my mother was like her." "I wish I had breasts like hers," said the first girl. "I don't understand what he sees in you, Richie." "Her old man can't lift her anymore. They sleep in separate rooms." I felt anger and immense sadness. How could this bastard, for whom she had risked so much, humiliate her like that? I wanted to knock his teeth out. I wanted to castrate him with a beer mug. I remembered the promise I had made to Barb. "I won't touch him," I said. How could I have been so stupid? Richie had been watching the rain outside the window the whole time. Now I noticed that he had reached into his pocket and taken out his cigarettes. When he took out his lighter, Johnsy turned to him. "You can't smoke here, buddy. It's against the law." "Well, I'm not going out in the rain. It's pouring. I need a cigarette, and if anyone doesn't like it, they can go to hell." I took my beer and went to sit at the bar. Despite my best efforts, tears filled my eyes. I wiped one away when the owner approached. "Are you okay, buddy?" "What?" "Oh, yeah, I'm fine. It's just the cigarette smoke. It always makes my eyes water." The owner looked around the bar. Richie tried to hide the cigarette in his palm, but the rising smoke gave him away. "Okay, everyone out." Richie squeezed the cigarette between his fingers and showed it to the owner. Okay, calm down. It's out, look, okay?" "Calm down, good joke, Richie," said Johnsy, looking at the owner's bald head. "I didn't tell you to put it out. I told you to get out. You have 10 seconds before I let the dog out." He began counting down from 10. "Okay, we're leaving. I never liked this damn pub anyway." "In that case, you won't be coming back here, and that's fine because you're all banned. Now get out of my pub." As they left, Richie gave the owner the middle finger, and one of the girls groaned. "It's all your fault, Richie. Where are we going to go now?" They reached the door, looked at the rain, and ran back to the college. "Excuse me, sir, can I buy you another pint?" "No, thank you. I should apologize. I didn't mean to make you lose your customers." "I can easily do without customers like that. They come here with an old woman. I think this cheeky one is probably sleeping with her. Anyway, they all live off her, and when she's gone, they drink all day. I feel sorry for her. She seems nice." "Is she pretty?" "Well, let's just say I wouldn't climb over her to get to you, if you know what I mean." "Then why do you feel sorry for her?" "Well, I'm no expert, but you see all kinds of lives in this job. I think she's desperately trying to recapture her youth. She seems like a nice woman, and she's married. So some poor guy is probably crying into his beer over her. But she comes in and sits with that crowd, laughing and giggling like one of them. You must have heard them talking about her when she leaves. To them, she's just an easy target. It'll end in tears, and she'll be the one who suffers." "It's not that I don't believe you, but how can you be so sure?" "Like I said, this is my job. I see it all, and I've seen it all before. If she's lucky, when that dirty little guy is done with her, she'll come to her senses and try to patch things up with her husband. But more likely, she'll get so used to feeling young that she'll start looking for another young guy. Trust me, it's as addictive as cigarettes, which this kid can't live without. Soon she'll be sitting in bars, throwing herself at any young man who shows the slightest interest in her. It's really sad." He leaned forward so that his mouth was close to my ear. "Why do you think there are no women here?" When he pulled away, I saw sadness in his eyes. He seemed like a decent guy, and it was clearly painful for him to talk about it. He looked at my glass. "Well, sir, another one?" "No, thank you. My lunch break is over. I'd better get back to work. Thanks for the chat." The bar owner definitely gave me food for thought. Could I live in a situation like that? Was Barb on drugs? She had already lied to me, so maybe she was. That evening, Barb sat down on my lap. She was wriggling around on me. Little Frank was uncomfortable. She took my hands from my hips and placed them between her legs. I pulled my hands back to her hips. "So how's little Dick?" She paused before answering. "I don't know, Frank. I haven't talked to him. Probably 4 weeks." She was good. If I hadn't seen it myself, I would have believed her. "So, only 8 weeks to go, then maybe we can get back to normal." "Do we really have to wait, Frank?" "I'm sure everything will be fine. If you're really worried, you could always—" "Don't even suggest it, Barb," I interrupted her. "I'm not going to take precautions just because he didn't." I pushed her away and stood up. I went to my room, lay down on the bed, and thought. I realized that she would never be honest with me. She needed me. She needed my stability like a rebellious child needs stable parents. I realized that I couldn't be that stability for her. I couldn't watch her deteriorate, as my friend had described in the pub. I had to break up with her. I spent the next 2 weeks preparing to move. I found a place to live, took time off work, and arranged to borrow a company van. I realized that Barb had been using our former bedroom for her secret meetings. I decided to leave on Thursday, after a brief argument with her lovers. I picked up the van and parked it in the garage. The morning flew by, and I barely had time to pack my things and finish my preparations. The coffee pot was on the gas stove, waiting for them. Shortly after 2 o'clock, Barbara's car pulled up to the house. I watched them approach the front door. She said he was 20. He looked more like 16. I opened the door. Barbara froze. I looked at little Richard. From the way he approached the door, I could tell he was scared to death. Barbara almost dragged him into the house. "What are you doing here, Frank?" I could ask you the same thing. I thought it was over. At least she had the decency to blush. "I'm sorry, Frank. I really tried, but I couldn't. I ended up talking to him, and, well, you can guess what happened next." "I'm sorry, Frank, I really am, but we can get through this. I know we can. Go back to work. We'll talk about it tonight." "I want to talk to him. Your lover, that is." "Frank, do you really think that's wise? I mean, it'll just make you look bad." "Barb, if a man comes into my house, smokes in my bedroom with my wife, he can at least sit down and talk to me." "Does that mean what I think it means, Frank? You're really okay with this?" "No one said I agree with it, but you know I can't stand to see you unhappy, so I'll just go along with it. I just wanted to get to know him." "And you promise you won't hurt him?" "I said I wouldn't touch him." She walked over to him, took his hand, and pulled him toward us. "Frank, this is Richard. Richard, this is Frank." "Hi, Dick. Sit down. Have some coffee." "My name is Richard, sir. Nice to meet you." He held out his hand to shake mine. "I'm sorry, Dick. I can't shake your hand. I promised Barb I wouldn't touch you, and I always keep my promises." I saw him nervously fumbling in his pocket. He pulled out a pack of cigarettes, took one out, and put it in his mouth. He took out a lighter and was about to light the cigarette. "Don't be an idiot, Richard. Those things will kill you, and if you smoke them in front of me, I may have to do the job for you. The accepted rule is that you ask permission before smoking in someone's house, and I don't want to smell like an ashtray." "I'm sorry, sir. I thought it was okay. I mean, Barb said you didn't mind." "Then Barb was wrong." What goes on between you two in the bedroom is your business, but forcing me to breathe your poisonous secondhand smoke is not part of the deal. Is that clear? Yes, sir, very clear. With trembling hands, he put away his cigarette. I understand that you like to smoke after sex. I don't understand why you smoke this crap. Don't you know how bad it is for you? Oh, yes, I know, sir. But they say that if I quit for 10 years, the risk drops to 0. I figured that if I quit at 30, by the time you're my age, I'll be free. That's if you live to that age, Dick. Now drink your coffee. And what now, Dick? Will you be able to provide her with the lifestyle she's accustomed to? I mean, you do plan to marry her, don't you? I thought he was going to throw his coffee at me when he was struck by what I had said. Seeing his predicament, Barb intervened. You know very well we haven't even discussed that. I'm your wife and always will be. I see. So he's just your lover, Barb? That's enough, Frank. Either get back to work or we're leaving. We'll talk about this tonight. I turned to the young man sitting across from me. Well, Dick, I can see Barb is nervous. Barb began to fidget, shifting from one foot to the other and rubbing her hands together. It reminded me of how my daughter used to wait for her first date. Maybe she's afraid of losing you, or maybe she's worried about losing her place in your little company. For the first time, I saw a sign of recognition in his eyes, as if I had just confirmed that we had met before. But he couldn't remember where. Anyway, I'd better get back to work and leave you lovebirds alone. I have to say, sir, you're doing a great job. I couldn't do it. It's called love, son. I always swore I'd make Barb happy for the rest of her life, and I intend to do just that. Barb came over and hugged me around the neck. I really love you, you know. I didn't answer. Barb started pulling young Dick by the arm. He started to get up. Are we done, sir? Sure, I said. Go have fun. He froze as Barb pulled him away. Sir, can I have a cigarette? If Barb doesn't mind, go ahead. The master bedroom was separated from the kitchen by a thin cinder block wall. I could hear them giggling as they undressed each other. I went around the house, gathered my last few things, took them out to the van, and stacked them with the rest. I returned to the house, put the coffee on the stove, and left. An hour later, all my belongings were packed in my new apartment, and I went to buy groceries. By the time I had unpacked and put everything away, it was almost 6 o'clock. I turned on the TV just in time for the news. Today on Points West, a house in Kingsnort was destroyed in a powerful explosion, said the announcer. This caught my attention. I watched the national news and waited for the regional news. They read the regional headlines and then I saw it, a road very similar to the one where I lived. As the camera panned down the street, I saw 2 houses that looked very similar to my neighbors' houses, and between them was a pile of rubble where my little bungalow should have been. Thank God I have insurance, I thought. The reporter stood in front of the camera and described what had happened.